Alright, peace and greetings, YouTubers. So welcome to another edition of In the News. So first, can we start off with Europe? I don't know if you've seen this story, but it's with the airline Ryanair. And there's an older white gentleman who has a window seat, and he's having a whole meltdown, and he's pissed off because there's a black woman who's going to be sitting in the same row as him. Now, mind you, they're not even sitting next to each other. There's a whole seat in between them. But, he's in his feelings. He doesn't want to sit by her. He feels that she's not worth, being in his presence and that she's dirty. And he goes on this really bad rant and this, that, and the third. And so let's go to the video and then we'll chat.
She's disabled. Don't you dare shout at her.
Disabled or not.
Don't you dare shout at her.
Don't tell me what to do. If I tell her to get out, she gets
No,
out.
she won't.
I'll tell you this. If you don't go to another seat, I'll push you to another seat.
I can't take one single thing. Mash the glass of your beer.
Don't talk to me in a fucking foreign language, you stupid ugly cow.
Mate, we can stop.
I will carry on. As long as I can with this ugly, black bastard.
So the biggest issue I have with this whole story is the fact that the airline didn't even kick him off the plane. Because I thought that's what they would have done, and some people are saying, well, they should have at least moved him to another seat. I said, oh no, you don't get to accommodate somebody who's racist and having a whole rant and over here causing a whole commotion when it's not necessary. You don't accommodate them. You don't make them comfortable. You get off the plane. You make him get off. If anybody should have been moved, they should have moved the woman to first class and gave her a voucher for having to put up with that. And so, it's kudos to the people on the plane who kind of stood up to the guy and was like, no, that's unnecessary. But to that airline, shame on you for letting him still fly. You're going to sit here and have a whole commotion, and then you get the luxury to still go up 37,000 feet in the air and get on everybody's nerves for another 3 or 4 hours? I don't think so. She's better than me, by the way. And the part that gets me, he has the nerve to call her ugly. I was looking like, sir, the nerve. Now, you listen, I don't really talk about a whole lot of people when it comes to physical looks because I already said anything can happen to anybody. Everybody's just one car accident away from being in an infomercial or being on the Dr. Phil or Dr. Oz or one of them shows. And so I try not to talk about people in the looks department, but you can't look like a bulldog and open your mouth to call somebody else ugly. He tried it. And so she's better than me because if that were me and she had the outside seat, he's going to have to go to the bathroom at some point. Because older people, okay, the bladders don't hold as well. They got to go, especially on those flights that are 3 or 4 hours. They're going to have to go to the bathroom at least twice. If I was her, I would sit there and not move. And I'd stretch my legs out. And I know he probably wears the pen, so he would just have to sit in it and let it soak for 3 hours, smelling like mothballs and piss. Anyway, tried it. Folks are crazy. By the way, I think what gets me even more is that he's in coach with everybody else, and I'm not trying to make this a classist thing or anything like that, and it doesn't give a pass to anybody in first class to act like that, but sir, you're in coach with everybody else. You are not about to sit here and act like you are above anybody, okay? You probably went right there on Expedia.com or Cheap Tickets or whatever little cheap discount site that we all use and, went and got you a flight like the rest of us. So humble down with your discounted flight. Probably got to stop in 3 different places to get to where you're going anyway, and you want to sit here and act high and mighty. By the way, I got to ride in first class a few months ago. It's another planet on that part of the plane. I said, oh, this is what y'all up here doing, huh? Okay, it was hot towels and free wine. And mind you, I don't drink anymore, but it was free wine. And with the meals, you had choices. They were like, do you want salmon or do you want steak? I said, I can choose? Can I both? Goodness, it was all kind of different things and different cookies and blankets. I haven't seen a blanket on a plane in so long. I was like, no. Like my whole accent, everything started changing. But okay. I still ain't paying for first class, so that was more of a gift from some other stuff with my companies and stuff I work with. But man, boy, that's another planet. But no, that ain't in my tax bracket to be flying on first class. So yes, I will be in coach, and it sucks too because I have really long legs and long feet, and so them little seats in coach be so uncomfortable. But it is what it is. Moving on, I watched the Florida debate. Man, listen. That DeSantis dude, whatever your name, sir, you need to just go back home and try again. It wasn't even close in my opinion. Gillum just came with the facts and just was together. He didn't let his emotions get in the way of what he was trying to present. And, he came out very just clear and concise. Now, I'm not from Florida. I don't follow the two candidates to know enough about either of them. I just remember Gillum was the one where the little racist monkey ads and stuff started coming out as far as the little robocalls and the little monkey voices. And then DeSantis was saying the thing about let's not monkey this up and everything like that. And so, it will be an interesting race to follow. But you know what? Gillum is better than me because DeSantis kept calling out this dude every 5 seconds about things that weren't really, I don't think they were important. Like he started ranting about something about Israel and this, that, and third. And I'm like, listen, this is why I couldn't be a candidate because there's no way I can stand there on a stage and let you're not just gonna come at me sideways and talk all kind of trash on national TV and think I'm not gonna say anything. Because I mean, I'm gonna say something, but it's not gonna be the nice diplomatic response you want from a politician. And I mean, these politicians sometimes they're so good at remaining poised. Like Gillum was very good at staying here because I was already way up here just watching, and it wasn't even me because I had my first of alls ready. And you know, whenever you're in a debate or a fight with somebody and somebody drops a first of all, they are about to flame you. They're about to let it just burn. And I was ready. So this is why I couldn't ever run for no kind of politics or nothing. Because ain't no way. You're not about to talk about me and I'm just going to stand here and take it. F that. F the freaking respectability. You want to get all dirty and grimy. We can do that. Come on, man. Anyway, so good luck to Gillum. The DeSantis dude he seems like a joke to me. And I'm like, to be honest, it's showing that a lot of these people who are running are not even that intelligent. I was like, because DeSantis is the Republican nominee, and I was like, that was the best y'all had to offer? Of all the Republican nominees y'all could have had in Florida, that's the one y'all picked, huh? That's going to represent y'all? Okay. Y'all got it, I guess. But then again, Florida, listen, y'all got a history of just doing all kind of things. And I don't know how it will work with Gillum or who's going to win. But again, in Florida, y'all got a history. So ain't no telling what's about to happen. But anyway, moving on. Let me move to something lighter before I get back into the heavier stuff. And then some of you had asked me about the fight with the Lakers and the Rockets between Rondo, Paul, and Ingram. And to be honest, I missed it. I mean, I don't really watch a lot of basketball. I wait until it's playoff season, and then I watch because they have too many games in the NBA. I'm not sitting here watching this every week. I don't have that kind of time. Every now and then if it's on and nothing else is on, I'll watch. Or usually I'll catch the highlights on ESPN or something in the morning. But no, I just can't follow all the seasons anymore. Plus, I don't have a favorite team. They sold my team off. Clay Bennett took my team and moved them to Oklahoma City. And now they're the Thunder. Because listen, I was the biggest Seattle Supersonics fan back in the day. Okay, I was there with Sean Kemp. I was there with Gary Payton, Rashard Lewis, Ray Allen back in the day. When everybody was somebody on that team. But man, so I'm still bitter. And mind you, that was like 10 years ago. I still ain't let it go. And the worst part, now they're going to redo Key Arena in Seattle so they can have the ice hockey. I'm like, that's all that they wanted to do in the first place was upgrade this Key Arena so the Sonics could have a better place to play. Y'all said no. Now they got sold off. It's okay, though. But anyway, as far as the actual fight, listen, I don't really like spending too much time talking about fighting. But yeah, spitting in somebody's face, that's like the worst thing you can do. That's the worst. That's why when I was a kid, I never liked going to the altar at church for prayer because I knew certain people on the altar that would pray for you, they talked really hard and they would spit in your face. And it's like you go up there, now I got two problems. I had the problem I already had when I came up here. Now you done spit all in my face. That's the second problem I got to deal with. And ain't no tissue up here. Because the lady that's laid out on the floor, they gave her the whole box. But anyway, so that's that. I don't really have much to say about it. It was just a fight. But, it is what it is. Moving on. And then the whole Sway Lee thing, that's kind of jacked up Drake and Travis Scott. Y'all could have let him be in the video. Like, come on now. He was on writing credits and everything. Why y'all do Sway Lee like that? He's one of the few newer people that I actually like. I'm one of the people that got a problem with everybody. Just because I want to hold on to what I remember from years ago. And I got to just accept the fact that music changes and it's okay. The pendulum swings both ways and you just got to ride the wave as it goes. But, y'all could have let that kid be in the video. Like, come on now. But hey, I say look at it this way. At least he didn't get that Jermaine Jackson treatment. You remember the Jacksons when they had the video for Torture? Now that's a story in itself. So if you go back to, 84? Jacksons have the Victory album. Now remember, Michael Jackson was already on the Thriller wave. Thriller was the say all be all. So I'm convinced he didn't feel like doing the Victory album. But anyway, they had the video for Torture. And something happens and Jermaine and Michael both say they ain't doing the video. So Michael's not doing the video. Jermaine is not doing the video. So now it's just Randy, Tito, Marlon, and Jackie. And so I guess they had the wax museum with the Michael Jackson doll. And so they end up putting the Michael Jackson video, the doll in the video and try to pass it off like Michael. And so at the end of the video, you see a still shot with the Michael doll and the other four brothers. But the jacked up part, Jermaine didn't even get a doll just because they probably weren't making one for Jermaine because it was a Michael world at the time. So hey, Jermaine, it was like, well, don't even worry about him. So that was jacked, So hey, at least they didn't do some shady stuff and well, hell, I guess they didn't make you a doll either. But dang, I just think nothing gets worse than that. If I was Jermaine, I was like, you know what? And then they all still got to go on tour together. Like, okay, what a time. That video was terrible, by the way. I love the Jacksons, but that's a video they could have kept. What was that? Go back on YouTube and watch that. And Michael fans, don't fight me. It is what it is. Okay, we can appreciate the nostalgia of the past, but some things were not always that great. The Torture video was torture to watch. If we want to really be honest, the song too. If we really want to be honest, it's torture. Anyway, Georgia. So I don't know if you've seen the story with Georgia where they pretty much purged 107,000 people from the voter rolls, mainly because they didn't vote in the last election. And they're trying to use this whole narrative of use it or lose it, which I think is some BS. And what you're seeing now is you're seeing a continual pattern when it goes with voting and pretty much disenfranchising certain groups of people. Because if you're going to try to push the whole idea of a use it or lose it when it comes to voting, you got to think who that's affecting. Most of the people who probably are not going and voting as much, even if they're registered, are people who most likely are not in a position to get to the polls because of where they work. You know what I mean? Not every job gives you the luxury to go and take some time off to go vote, especially if you're working part-time or if it's, some kind of weird little setup that you work at. Everybody doesn't get that luxury to go to the polls. And, with what's going on as far as how they're setting up polling locations across the country, you're starting to see a trend where in highly densely populated areas, there's not enough polling stations in comparison to places that are rural. And so if you look at what happened in Ohio in 2004, you had all these really, really highly populated areas and not enough polling places. And so people are in line for hours and hours and hours. And some of those people had to leave the line and go to work, And then on the flip side, in the rural parts in farm town, they got ample polling places. They can't even get enough people in there. They got to close some down because nobody's coming, And I think that's kind of one of the reasons why you saw a lot of people probably not voting. But the jacked part is they're doing it on purpose because they recognize that the demographic of people who are most likely not making it to the polls in that situation are usually working class Americans, usually African Americans, usually minorities, usually Democrats. And so they're doing that on purpose. They're pushing them out. And Georgia has a lot going on. You see what's happening with Gwinnett County where it was 1 in 10 of either it was the absentee ballots. I think it was absentee ballots. 1 in 10 of the absentee ballots were being thrown out, and 60% of those ballots were from African Americans. Like, they know what they're doing. This is nothing new under the sun. And my thing is, if your campaign is as great as it's supposed to be, if your party is doing what it needs to do, why are you so gung-ho about always making sure certain people don't vote? You know what I mean? If you really want to give power to the people, let them vote. Why is voting in this country so it's such a rigorous process? It's so punitive. They're so quick to try to snatch away everybody's right to vote. And it's not just Georgia. You see what's going on in Texas with Prairie View. And, Prairie View is an HBCU, historically black college, but it's in a pretty much majority white county. And the people in the county are pissed off because they don't want the college students voting because they feel like it's skewing the heart of the county, and that because the people on the campus are voting one way and the people in the county are voting another way, let's try to figure out how to, just repress and disenfranchise and push and suppress that vote out from those college students so that their vote doesn't affect what we have. They want those college students to vote specifically for wherever they're from. And my thing is, those college students are living in that area for at least 9 months out of the year. How are you going to say that their voice doesn't matter with what happens in that area? You know what I mean? And so they're doing that. In North Dakota, the same thing as far as what's going on with the Native American population. And, a lot of the Native Americans who live on the reservations have P.O. boxes. And so this year, P.O. boxes are not eligible to be used as addresses when it comes to registering to vote. And with Native Americans, they tend to vote Democratic. And so North Dakota is a very red state, and they have a few districts that are somewhat Democratic, but there's a Democratic candidate who was already on the Senate before that's running for re-election. And so they're trying to make sure them Native American votes do not come in, because we don't want that. We don't want her back in office again. Like, there's a lot going on. It's kind of jacked up. And so again, if you're really trying to give Americans the freedoms to go and voice their opinion and push their vote and make the change that they feel is necessary, why are you making it so hard for people to vote? Something really suspect about that. You know what I mean? Why are you trying to disenfranchise different groups of people from voting? Why are you working so hard to just make sure you pull everything? That whole use it or lose it thing is crap. Okay, it's kind of like, even in the career field, I don't agree with the idea of use it or lose it when it comes to vacation for a lot of people too, because some people just don't get the luxury of taking vacation. And the study has shown that millennials take the least amount of vacation out of the generations because they feel that they have to prove themselves in the office. And so a lot of millennials let their vacation stack up, and then New Year rolls over, they lose most of that vacation, and then they have to start it over and everything like that. And so that's so punitive, and I have a problem with that. I just think that's jacked up. And again, with Georgia, I don't know if you've seen the case too where there was the senior citizen home, and they were going to get the bus and go out and vote, and they were told, the campaign people from one of the opposing parties pretty much called the center and told them, you're not allowed to bring a bus load of people to come vote, this, that, and the third, it's illegal. And so they stopped the bus and made the people get back into the center and go finish playing Uno. It's crazy what's going on. That should just make your eyes open. If so many people don't want you to vote, what do you think it is that they're trying to keep you from doing? Why do you think they're afraid of you exercising your power? So I'm not one to tell y'all what to do, but I would definitely say go vote, especially on the local level. You know, even with the presidential election, there was nearly 100 million Americans who didn't vote. And it wasn't because they weren't registered. A lot of people were just like, I'm done. I don't care. And this is the reason why people are dropping out and people are no longer invested in American politics, because look how corrupt it is. You know what I mean? It's just, there's so much corruption. And I just think back to the 2016 election, because 2016 was the first time I voted in D.C. as an actual resident, because I was always living in Alexandria, Virginia instead. And when I was in Virginia for the 2012 election, again, how I gave that argument about the densely populated areas versus like the inner city and stuff like that. When I was in Alexandria, when I tell you my polling station, I got there, I was in line for all of 10 minutes. I voted and I went right to work. 2016, I was in line for 2.5 hours. I was like, this is crazy. Like, if I wasn't so pressed about that election, I was like, man, I would have went home. But like literally, I don't know why they make it so difficult for people to vote. I think people should take the note that what Oregon is doing, where pretty much when you get your driver's license, you're already registered to vote. You know, I don't see why you're trying to stop people from registering to vote. There's not that much voter fraud going on. People keep trying to push that narrative, but it's really not happening like that. Not at all. And when America's already one of the least voting countries in the world, as far as the countries that do have the opportunity to have elections where people vote, our participation is not really that high. And so, you know, they're pretty much just making sure that some of y'all don't show up. So I suggest you use that right if you have it. Anyway, moving on. And then what else is going on? I saw the story with Clemson, where the whole floor collapsed at a party. I don't know. Y'all just got to be careful when y'all go to these house parties and stuff. But you know what it reminds me of? Fortunately, nobody got hurt. Well, people got hurt, but nobody got like seriously hurt, so everybody should be fine. But I'm trying to find this picture. Hopefully I can find it, and if I find it, I'm going to post it on the side. But there's this picture I always see, and it was like a high school house party. And I don't know what the kids were doing, but I don't know if they were whipping and neighing and stumping too hard, but eventually the whole floor collapses into the foundation. So the floor just drops like a foot, and so everything's still in the house. And I'm like, can you picture being that teenager trying to call your mom? And you're not calling your mom saying, Mom, I broke the vase. You're like, Mom, I broke the house. Like, Mom, I broke the whole house. You know the living room? The living room? You know the floor? It moved a bit. Like, whoever the teenager was that lived in that house, I would have just ran away. I would have just left. Kind of like the clip of the boy when he breaks the screen door with all the glass and it shatters and he's like, let me just run away. Like that. That would have been me. And then I've seen the story about everything going on with the journalist from the Washington Post that got killed in Saudi Arabia. I don't know why everybody's expecting this current administration to hold Saudi Arabia to any kind of standard. First of all, Saudi Arabia has too much invested in our economy. They have like $1.3 billion circulating in our economy or something like that. 1.8% of our economy is in their hands is what I meant to say. And so, you know, listen, they're all in Trump's pockets. They're like, no, they're not going to do anything. Trump's not going to do anything. We're not going to go to war. We're not going to stop the sale of arms with them. We're not doing any of that. Nothing is going to happen. The fact that Saudi Arabia wasn't even on the whole travel ban list of all the places, you know, you put Ethiopia on there or Sudan, you know, these random places, but you didn't put Saudi Arabia where the alleged 19, hijackers from 9/11 were from. You didn't put them on the list with that. But, you know, listen, we have too much blood money with Saudi Arabia, too much corporate interest. We're not going to do anything about it. Like, listen, every administration has had corruption, but this one here is some new stuff. Like, and mind you, this is after the Bush era. Remember, Bush had a lot going on. His whole cabinet was under indictment almost. And then he had a vice president that shot somebody in the face. And even that is like Sesame Street compared to what we're seeing now. This is the first time you're just seeing an administration just get to do whatever they want. Anything goes all the time, and people are just letting it slide. And I'm just like, wow, okay, you know, interesting. You know, I'm not really a Barack Obama disciple, but I'm just saying, whew, had he done half the stuff that Trump's already done, Barack and his whole family would have been under the jail by now. That's all I'm saying. Last thing I was going to talk about, which is not even really that important to me, but I saw on social media, everybody's talking about the Brother Nature guy. The guy that makes all the videos with the animals and everything, and he's talking with the deer Yella and the elephants and the giraffes and the sharks and the this and the that. And apparently, they dug up his old tweets, and he said a bunch of racist things and stuff about the Nazis and stuff about black women and stuff about beating women and all this other crazy stuff. And I'm just like, listen, if you're somebody and you start getting a social media following, or you think you're going to be famous, or you think you're going to run into politics, or you think you're going to do anything that has some kind of position of power, I suggest you go back and clean up your social media, especially those of you who had stuff from 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012. You might want to go back and clean up house. this is why I'm glad I was already an adult during that time period, because I already knew at the time not to put nothing crazy out there. Like a lot of these people that are getting caught up with stuff, they're getting caught up with stuff that they posted when they were 13 or 14. And so I'm like, ooh, that sucks. That's why they say what you put in the universe does come back to get you. So, that's that. But then again, I don't know. Somebody was saying, well, maybe he had one of those accounts where, people can, how people can sell like their Twitter accounts and stuff like that. You can sell your account. Maybe he had somebody else's account. I don't know. I'm not vouching for him. I don't really know the guy like that. I did enjoy the nice little animal videos. I thought that was cool. But man, listen, it is what it is. You figure out how to answer to that. I suggest he either admit to what he did and say, listen, this was me back in the day, I've learned. Or I don't know what else he can do. But, we'll see what happens. Anyway, I am out. Subscribe.